Good day, good day. Welcome, welcome. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm Jay, and this is Homeschool Yo Kids podcast. Be sure to check out our homeschooling expo. Oh, I just realized I don't have my glasses on. But just be sure to check out our homeschool your kids expo.com website so you can check out our schedule for the 2025 year. We have some really great locations, and we are definitely coming to a city near you. We already have one down and 13 more to go. So be sure to check out that. And big shout outs to Classical Conversations, one of our proud sponsors. We appreciate them so, so much. Uh, all right. So business is out the way. Today we have with us Jennifer. Jennifer, introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Jennifer. I have been homeschooling for over 20 years. I have three kids. My oldest is in college now, and my twins are 16. They've all got special needs and learning disabilities, so it's been a ride. And my kids are pretty social, and so I started a homeschool co-op when my oldest was, I think, 8, and that co-op's still going, and I teach in it. And I've also, for the co-op, written a lot of curriculum and had a lot of practice learning what is effective and what works, and being in groups and learning that way is really fun. And I just love helping kids and their moms figure out how to do this homeschool thing better.
Oh, nice. Okay. So what got you to homeschooling?
Let's see, when my oldest was 6 months old, I read some article came across my path. It was written by Oliver and Rachel DeMille from the Thomas Jefferson Education Philosophy. It was just an article. They didn't have a book at that point. And it was describing homeschool and especially this bookshelf that they recommend, like, or bookcase that they recommend families have with all these different books on here. And it was talking about like the feast of learning and just the idea of love of learning and the vision that they were painting. I was like, oh, I want that. How do I get that for my kids? And my oldest was 6 months old, and I started mentioning it to my husband. He was like, no. And I just kept learning about it and studying the topic and getting more and more convinced this is what I wanted to do. And when she was 3, I think I was firmly like, I got to do this. And my husband was like, still no. But I bribed him to read a Thomas Jefferson Education with me. I read it out
Mhm.
loud to him. I think I traded him for watching soccer with him and back rubs or something. And then after he read it, he was pretty convinced that would probably be the best thing for our child. Not that I believe there's one right way, but we felt very convinced this was going to be a good thing for our child. And we just have never looked back. So I've never sent my kids to school. They have done activities at the local schools, maybe a class here or a club or things like that, but they've been homeschooled from start to finish.
Oh, that's so beautiful. That is so nice. I love the persuasion you used and back rubs watching soccer. Got him on board. Here, read this book. Don't worry about it. I'll read it to you. But I love the persistence because a lot of parents they can't get on the same page as that. Have talked to a lot of different moms, especially, and they're like, "Oh, my husband, like, I'm trying to get my husband on board," and I'm like, "Oh, just keep doing your research, presenting things to him, and build your argument. Maybe even need to build a PowerPoint. I don't know, but just work at it because it's I don't know if husbands think on that level as much as, the carrier of, because, wives already like, oh, I don't want to send them to daycare. I don't want to send you anywhere, really. Like, you're my baby. I've
Right.
carried you. And now I got to like ship you off to strangers. It's crazy. So it's already a thought process in our head, is this right? Do I want them there? Do I want them? But you knew from okay, 6 months on, like, yeah, no, I think we're gonna do this. Okay, you don't want to do it. Okay, let me keep on trying. So
Yeah,
that's
and
so
I would
cool.
never tell a mom to like don't divide your household. It's better for the
Yes.
kids if the parents are united. So if it takes a long time to persuade dad, I think that's better for the kids than like just putting a thing in the sand and saying we're doing this.
Yeah. So how does he feel about it now though? That
So
y'all have been
yeah, we've
just
been doing it,
yeah.
and he sees that it has been good for our kids. And it like our primary reason is because you can really develop that love of learning rather than like schools focus so much on we're going to get these exact things done for every child that it kind of burns the love of learning out of them. and they lose that delight and they think school is something I do for a few years and then I'm done. And I want to raise humans that will be learning for the rest of their lives because they think it's fun and it's a way to live.
Yes, I love that. I love that. So what does your day look like?
So let's see, right now, typically we have my twins go to a Bible study real early in the morning, like 6 o'clock at church. And right now it's a snow day, so it got canceled. But then when they get home around like 7:15, that's when we start doing school. We sit at the table and they have homework for their co-op classes that drives most of what we do, and then we add to it math and I give them reading assignments and other things that I want them to do. And so I help them with whatever they need, and I'm just present and available. They do some things independently and some things they need my help, but we're just all three together from about 7:15 till about noon. And then we, have lunch, and then we are moving into our afternoon activities. And I have, this year I'm teaching physics in our co-op, and so I have things to do in the afternoon. I have office hours with students and grading homework and preparing for the week's lesson and all of that. So, and the kids are doing their own things in the afternoon.
Nice. Okay. So how is your structure as far as your co-op goes? Because you say you're teaching things and grading things. So how does that look?
Yeah, so we have, I want to say like maybe 30 moms in the group, and
Mm.
every person in the group has at least one role that we have a board of directors that kind of runs everything. And then we have junior program mentors for the kids 0 to 12, and scholar program mentors for the middle school, high school students. And so the junior program is really fun. It's very delight directed and love of learning. Moms take turns creating. So the junior program mentors, which are mostly the moms of the kids in that age group, take turn creating kits for and the families are broken into groups. So like they're like with 3 or 4 families in one room, and maybe this week they have the space kit and they're all exploring it. And no mom has to separate herself from her little children. They're all right there with her,
Oh,
and she's helping them engage with the kit and interacting with the other families. And then if there's any discipline or classroom management to happen, the mom does that for her own child, which it took us years to get to that model, but it's so much easier on everyone and better. And then the next week, that group rotates to another room with a new kit. Now maybe it's the storytelling kit or something. And so every week, those younger kids are getting exposed to a different topic that a different mom brought to the table with all sorts of fun. And it's supposed to be, multisensory, lots of different learning styles and activities for all ages of kids. So that's what the younger kids are doing in the morning. And the scholar mentors, which I'm doing one of the scholar classes, I'm teaching high school physics. And my class is actually in the afternoon, but there's a class in the morning I think we have them broken up into 2 age groups right now. Well, sometimes 3, it depends on. So we have kids ages 12 to 18 in our classes, and we have junior scholars and senior scholars, not to be confused with the junior program. And in that, for the junior scholars, we're trying to like win them over to this really hard work that they're going to do is really fun, and they get lots of incentives, and they're encouraged to do really hard things and start working really hard. And when they're ready to enter the senior scholar classes, which like the high school physics is one of those, they have to commit to stay caught up on their homework. We do allow them to turn in some things late, but they can't be more than 2 weeks behind or they'll have to drop the class. And they know they're signing up for, we have the students sign a contract that this is what they really want to do. We don't,
mm.
your parent can't sign it for you. You have to just say, yes, I want to do this class and do this really hard work, because we expect them to do really hard things, read a lot, write a lot, do, hard work. And so I'm teaching a physics class, so I prepare for that every week. And there are several other mentors teaching other classes. My kids are in a writing class right now too. The scholar classes are 2 hours long. So there's one in the morning and one in the afternoon. So, and we have like a opening time with everybody before we start classes, and then we have lunchtime. So altogether, it's probably about 5 hours that we're there every Friday.
Just once a week?
Just once a week. And
Okay, that's what I was gonna ask. Like, how often are you all meeting? Okay, once a week. So, in about 5 hours. Okay, that's cool. So,
yeah,
do y'all meet outside of the co-op? Like, as far as the
lots of
structure
people
of
do. Like geographically, we are somewhat spread out. There are pockets of people that are close together, but like I think like like end to end, it's probably at least an hour that we're all spread out. So we can't, all of us can't get together all the time, but our kids do like to get together. Lots of people will do field trips, especially the younger families. When your kids are really younger, it's so fun to like everybody get a membership to the zoo and let's go like once a week or the children's museum or whatever. So there's lots of that going on. We have family events, like we'll have like a family ball or a science fair or spelling bee or other things. Um, and then the kids do like to get together. A lot of them go to church dances together, and we'll have socials. You know, somebody will say movie night at my house and things like that. So yes, they are connected.
Nice. So how did you find this co-op?
I started it.
Of course. Of course. Why would you not? Yes. Can't find it, started.
Yeah,
Yes. How, walk us through that process. Because a
yeah.
lot
Oh,
of
it
parents,
has been a process. So my oldest, you know, the one that that's why I started homeschooling. She's
yes.
always very, very social, and I knew I cannot homeschool this child in isolation. She will wilt and die. That's not going to work. So I think I started like preschool classes for her, invited other homes, found homeschool message boards or whatever, and invited people to those. So we started with like a math arts preschool class, and then we did a heroines book club, like as in female protagonist, not
Mhm.
something else. And we read a bunch of people have asked before, so I have to clarify. Uh, so we would read great books about female protagonists and then do activities like we did Little House on the Prairie and we made butter and sewed patchwork squares and things like that. And I met a lot of families through that that ended up helping me start the co-op a year later.
Right.
We found space at a community center and started just like a few classes and we've been in I don't know like six different buildings over the years and because I think the co-op is now like 12 or 13 years old and
Oh, wow.
it's
Okay.
evolved a lot. Like in the beginning we're we're figuring stuff out and we
Yeah.
it was way too much work for everybody in the beginning. What we were asking parents, we would have the kids separated out, like the babies in one room and the toddlers in another and then the 5 and 6 year olds and another and so moms are peeling their little kids off their legs to go
Oh,
to their
yeah.
class so they can go teach their and all the moms were teaching every week. It was really stressful and we didn't even have a scholar program at that point because the oldest was I think maybe 9 or 10. um, but it just grew and we kept figuring things out. There was great things about the co-op and especially the relationships between the families, and we were all united around the idea of love of learning and wanting to help our kids enjoy learning. And so many people hung with us and we had a lot of turnover as we figured things out. And now we've settled into a much more stable situation that if you join it, you can do this. Uh, it's not too high a price. Your children and your family are not going to suffer for your participation in it, where that wasn't
Nice.
true in the early days.
Nice. So trial and error. So y'all works
Totally.
out and
And
you
I
got a
really
nice
like,
flow.
yes, and I really like to help other, like now that it took like, I don't know, 8 or 9 years to work out a lot of the kinks and figure out how to make it more sustainable. And now that I know that, I really want to help other groups, like other families, and start groups like this because I know how you can do it in 1 to 3 years without all the stress.
Yes. Okay. So do you have families reach out for you in regards to start helping to start
Yeah, I do
co-op?
some consulting on this kind of stuff. I love helping people. I love talking about homeschool and helping people do it better and especially start groups.
Yes, because you're a vet. You're
Yeah.
professional by now.
Well, I've been doing it for a few years
A few.
and I've done a
Not.
lot of things wrong, so I know what not to do.
Yes. Have you ever thought on the micro school level? Have you thought about doing one of
I've
those?
just been kind of learning about those. That would be really exciting. That would be really interesting. Yeah, I haven't like
Because
haven't
in a sense, y'all have it, even though you're
yeah,
just once a day, once a
once a
week, you
week. Yeah,
still have it. So,
that's true.
yeah, because it really like when you hear some of the stories as far as how micro schools are started, it's like, oh, dang, like you just started in your living room, then you grew, like,
Yeah, that is pretty
like
cool.
it is very much so. So, okay, your oldest, is she how many more years? Because grades is sometimes not a
Right.
thing.
She's in
Um,
college, so
okay,
she's I think she's sophomore, junior. It depends. She transferred. She was at a school in California, and then she transferred to the University of Washington this year. And
Did she do dual enrollment while she was homeschooling, or how did that look?
kind of, she did she did get some she didn't do Running Start. She did get some credits from an online like BYU independent study. Like it has uh, I don't know if I'm saying the right words, but it is college classes that you can get high school and college credit, but I don't know that most schools take their credit unless you go to BYU, which she didn't want to do. So
Gotcha.
she mostly we were I totally see the value of dual enrollment, and it can be a really great choice for some people. She was really interested in theater. She wasn't going to go into a theater degree, but we wanted her to have plenty of time to be in plays and shows, and also get the other education pieces that were really important for us. So we just didn't decide on Running Start as the best idea for her. But she did do really well getting into college. She got a scholarship at her first school. That was really great. And now she's at the UW, and she's having a good time.
Yes, can we hear about that process? A lot of parents, when questioning if homeschooling is a fit for them, they're always like, "Well, can my child go to college?"
Yeah, that's
Um,
a scary thing, huh?
yes.
I have learned the most about this from, I'm going to forget her name. She writes about the process, and her book is The Home Scholar is her brand. And she has a few books. I should look her up. I'll get that for you by the end of this so you can put it maybe with the notes or something.
Okay.
I think she's from Washington State where I am, and she teaches about all of this. And that is where I have learned everything about how to write transcripts and how to go through the application process. And I think the best thing that maybe can give everybody some relief, like very worst case scenario, if your child gets terrible grades, can't get good test scores or whatever after you've been homeschooling them in high school, the path that will, if college is important to them, that's something they want to do, you can go through a community college first, because community colleges have open enrollment. They don't turn anyone away. So you just go to a
No.
community college, and then most community colleges have agreements with universities in their area that they are guaranteed to take students from, like, transfer students from the community college in the university, as long as they have like something like a 2 point GPA. So it's like totally possible if somebody has had a bad high school experience, things aren't going well. And I say that just so that like sometimes we moms can catastrophize and like, I'm totally failing my kids and they're not going to learn anything and it's all going to be, horrible. I'm going to ruin their lives. And let's say we did do that, which is real unlikely. But if we did, there is still a path to college. So it's just good to know that that's there.
Yes.
Then I think one of the things that's really cool about homeschool that I learned, okay, Lee Binz, that's her name. Her name just popped into my head. She has several
Okay.
books. If you look on Amazon, her last name is Binz, and she talks a lot about this. Uh, One of the things I love about homeschooling is you can shape your child's transcript to whatever's the school or program that they're really interested in, and help it look, tell the story, because transcripts are just a way to share your experience and translate it into language that a college will understand. And let's say your child really wants to go into a specific profession. With homeschool, you have the flexibility to get lots of experience with that field, lots of clubs and activities and jobs and work experience and other things. And then you can turn all of that into classes that you put on their transcript. And I love how Lee Benz teaches how to do this. And I sometimes walk parents through this process too, using her work. It's all her work. I want to give her credit. But
Nice.
it's really not hard. So like at the beginning of every school year now, I just write a transcript for my kids that is a guess of what I think we will do this year. And it takes me about 10 minutes. And then at the end of the school year, when we're done, I just update it with anything that changed. And that takes another 5 minutes. And that's it.
Nice.
It's not this giant long process and scary thing.
Right. Okay. So, with understanding the need for a transcript as far as college goes, when did y'all start talking about college? Like, how old was she?
Oh, probably, sorry, I have an asthma cough. Since she was little, because me and my husband both went to college, so that was sort
Mhm.
of something I definitely don't think, I don't want to tell kids you have to go to college. It can be the right thing for, lots of people, and it is, and I think it's a really great place to go, especially while you are figuring stuff out. I think it's a really great place to figure things out. And so our kids have heard us talk about it from the very beginning, and our oldest, I think very early, I don't even remember a day, but it definitely was something she was aspiring to and wanted to do. And so she, yeah, I don't even know. She'd always pretty much planned on it. And was looking at schools from, very early.
So she had already got a feel for, okay, I know I want to go to college. And then
Yes.
y'all started pinpointing what college is and then starting to
Hmm.
look at what the requirements for what the requirements for that to get into that
Yeah,
school were, and then shaping the transcript to look like they needed to look.
totally. Yes. And the
Okay.
year that she applied was right after COVID. I think she graduated in 2021, and it was schools were finally opening up for actual in-person enrollment, and they hadn't been for the whole previous year. And so it was like 3 years of students all applied at the same time.
Wow.
Excuse me. So it was very competitive, and she did get a lot of when you take the PSAT and the SAT and the ACT, you get on lists for college and they start flooding you with flyers and pamphlets in your mail. And
Mm.
that she found the school she ended up at through that. They sent her mail and she really liked the feel of it. And we went and did a tour and it just felt like the right place for her.
Oh, nice.
And so that's how she ended it. It wasn't on her radar. She didn't choose that school and target them, but then they found her and it was a great fit.
How was the scholarship process? Because you said she also got scholarships. How
Yeah,
was
she was
that?
through the school and she just I mean it was part of her application process for there, so it wasn't really difficult. Lee Binns also has a whole book about scholarships and applying for them. And that is another one of those things, if you're willing to put a lot of time in and just keep applying, you will find scholarships, especially
Mm,
based on your personal interest and experience and your unique, history and who you are. There's got to be a scholarship for you somewhere.
nice. Okay. So with all of this comes curriculum.
Yeah.
So you build your own curriculum? Love a total
Yeah, I do
question,
write
but do you
curriculum.
build your own?
It's something I'm really passionate about. It's fun. So as I've been teaching in this co-op for all these years, I've always had to generate the content for a class, every year. And there's been some years I've taught two classes. I now have learned that's not a great idea. I need to just teach one a year. But I
And you
often
chose physics. That's
I
crazy.
know, I love physics. It's so funny. I started college as a physics major. I did not
Mm.
end a physics major because I took one class and realized that I didn't have the math skills.
Mm. That's all I've thought about when you said it.
I
It was like,
know,
oh my
but I love
gosh.
the concepts and the ideas, like black holes and space, and like cosmology is
Yeah.
especially interesting to me. And I've learned that you really only need for high school physics, you really only need very basic algebra. You do not need intense math, and you can learn the concepts. And so I wrote a curriculum. I use a textbook as the foundation, and then I came up with like what we do in physics every week in classes. We do experiments on whatever unit we're in. Like I think this week we're in change of phase. So going from gas or liquid or solid to one of the other phases. And I just did a bunch of research on found a million different experiments that you can do. Um, it's not hard to find those sources online and then put them together into units. And so this week in class, they will be doing a bunch of experiments with, like, they're going to make ice cream and they're going to cut an ice block with a copper wire and through the regulation process and other things. It will be really fun. And then during the week, they do choose a topic to deep dive on their own from physics, and they spend 8 weeks on their deep dive and they write a paper and they do a presentation in class on whatever topic. So they become like little mini experts on a few topics a year of the ones that they are interested in, and then um, they get a taste of all the other topics, and they have homework every week. And anyway, so yeah, I wrote the physics curriculum because I needed a physics class for my because science is one of the hardest things to do as a homeschooler. Like it can be
Mm.
expensive pulling together all the equipment and to do experiments because colleges,
I
most of
say
them,
it's messy. I could tell you that.
yeah, because most colleges require 2 years of science with lab and some require three. And that's hard to do as an individual homeschooler at home. So I really love being able to do that with a group because then you have the funds, the families can pool their funds together to get really cool equipment and materials to do really cool experiments because science is really fun. And so
Mm.
that's why I started the physics curriculum and wrote it, and I sell it, and it makes life so much easier if you're if you need to do a physics class, and it can be really fun. And I've had people use the curriculum and say that they were surprised at how easy it was. I mean, it is gathering a lot of materials, but I've got everything listed out exactly what you need every week and how to acquire it and where to get it, because it's hard figuring doing that myself the first time was really hard.
Oh, I can imagine. I
Yeah.
can imagine. I don't, I didn't make it to physics. I think we did like some kind of physical science in like middle school, like the basics. But
Yeah.
as far as physics, no, I don't, that wasn't on my, didn't make my
On your
transcript.
bingo
I can
card.
tell you that. No, ma'am. But okay, so with the other subjects, because science is at, your thing, that's your go-to, but do you do all of the subjects as far as your
So my
curriculum goes?
other passion that I write curriculum for is like theater, especially Shakespeare. I have a curriculum called Stories from the Stage, and it is heavily rooted in Shakespeare, but also includes some Broadway shows and musicals and stage plays like West Side Story, Hamilton, Wicked, Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are Dead, other things like that, and trying to show the connective thread between all of theater and performing arts. It's all we all get so much from Shakespeare. So the students are introduced to the different works. There's a work every week that they get to explore. They read, watch, or listen to it at home, and then class is a bunch of activities and things to engage more with that work and understand it and play with it. And then in the second half of the year, the whole class puts on a production like a Shakespeare
Oh,
play.
nice.
And I've been involved in several Shakespeare plays, and that was probably motivated by my oldest being such a theater nut. She was in a lot of Shakespeare plays that I helped, and now she likes to direct, and she teaches theater to elementary school students as her like afternoon job. She works with
Oh, nice.
fun. Um, so it's totally different than physics, and I love it just as much. It's really, really fun. Um, in terms of teaching the other subjects to my kids, yes, I do. I haven't written curriculum for things outside of theater and physics. I use a lot of resources, and the classes that they have at the co-op do a lot. The things we do totally independently are math and foreign language and religious studies. And I feel like history, philosophy, writing, all of that kind of works in and out of their co-op classes. And then science.
Okay.
Am I missing any subjects?
English, reading.
Yeah, kind of that works in with their
Well,
co-op.
it's okay. That's
I
some of the
do give
co-op.
them additional assignments at home, especially we do school through the summer. With our co-op schedule, I really, really love that we take 6 weeks off from Thanksgiving to New Year's, which is so nice. You can just be with your family, nobody's teaching classes. We still get together for fun things, but there's not the stress of classes. And then we end our school year like the first or second week of May. So we have a
Mhm.
really long summer um, off of classes. And that is very nice. I still make my kids do school during the summer though, because and that then we just focus more on whatever they need that maybe is a weak point for them or
Nice. Yeah. I laugh. My girls just arguing with me. We were they always want to tell me about when public school's on break. They're like, but I'm just break right now. It's winter break. I'm not for you. That doesn't apply to you. But they're always wondering what next break. And they do
my
the bare
kids too.
minimum.
They're like, why aren't we
Oh my
taking this day
gosh.
off? I'm like, because we take all the other days off.
Exactly. Like, come on, y'all don't even do stuff the whole week. Like, don't do that.
Yeah.
But that's awesome. So you really fit, like you have something that works for your family. Like y'all
Yeah.
have really curated a program that works for you all.
Yeah, it's really fun. And I like helping other people figure that out because I think there is a way to do this for every family that wants to.
Yes. So with your curriculum, because I know you sell curriculum, you also have a coaching slash consulting that goes with that,
Yeah,
or how
that
does
is
it
sort
work?
of new. I do like for if let's say somebody wants to teach physics and they're like, I'm real intimidated. I do a training with you can buy the curriculum and get a full
Oh
day
wow.
training. It's virtual where I can walk you through the curriculum and you answer your questions and help you figure out how to do this and show you exactly how to use it. And then I also do consulting for like individuals or groups. Like let's say you have like 5 friends and you're all trying to do this together and you want to have an hour with me online talking about whatever about your group or just general homeschool questions or whatever, I can do support any of that.
Nice, nice. Okay, sweet. So you want to bestow the knowledge of what you have learned and acquired over all these lovely trial and error years.
Yeah, save people
And
some time and heartache if possible.
right, right. So what geared your homeschooling? Like did you have, I know you have the Lee Benz book that you read, you have a couple books that you've read. What like shaped you as far as the style that you knew you wanted to
So yeah, I follow leadership education, which Rachel and Oliver DeMille wrote a Thomas Jefferson
Mhm.
education and then leadership education. And leadership education is the one I really like. I like both. I like that philosophy. I've adapted it myself. I don't follow
Nice.
everything that they do. There's many things that they support and believe in that I don't. But in terms of love of learning and how to foster that, I think they're just really, really good at that. And that has definitely influenced me a lot. I also have over the years, I don't know if you've heard of Brave Writer. Um,
Mm.
that she has a podcast and curriculum and focused on writing. And her name is escaping me right now, but she has influenced me deeply. She's written a book called The Brave Learner. That one is really
Mhm.
it's very much love of learning and fostering that, and I love that. And I also really like. I don't know if you know Amber O'Neill Johnston. She,
Yes,
yes, I love her work. All of her stuff has influenced me a lot.
that's
And
Heritage Mom.
yes, right,
Yes,
yes.
yes.
I would say those are probably my biggest philosophical education influences.
Nice. Okay. And so because you've been talking on the level learning and I speak on that too. Because once you get them to fall in love with that, that's it's everything else is easy. It's like, I
Right.
want to like, they're picking up stuff on their own, they're reading on their own, things of that nature.
Oh.
What does that look like for your crew?
Let's see. So, like my oldest, it was the all theater, everything theater. My
Okay.
son is really interested in how things work. I think he's enjoying physics this year. And I'm trying to think, he really is into um like so he's on the spectrum, so there's some developmental challenges there. He's not following a traditional path, but he loves Legos, loves building, putting things together, um, and he is getting more and more into, right now he's obsessed with birds. He thinks they're so
Mm.
cute, and he wants to learn how to um, do bird watching. So he's like always opening up the doors to listen, like the windows to listen to birds outside. I'm like, it's freezing, close the door. And he's like, but the birds are chirping, I want to hear them.
Oh,
So that's his current interest. And let's see, his twin sister, what is she into? Uh, she is very interested in politics and also little children, and she wants to be a kindergarten teacher. And
oh.
I think she's really good with little ones. And so she's like child education and child development. All of that's really interesting to her. And so those are some of her interests.
Nice. Yeah, they're definitely on the opposite sides.
Yeah.
I love that though. And
Uh,
that's cool. Okay, so do y'all do a lot of hands-on activities?
we try
Especially
to.
with your kinesthetic learning with the engineering. He
Yeah.
basically engineering things. So y'all do a lot of hands-on.
Yeah, we do. And trying to make things visual. Sometimes we'll like get out. Both my twins love stuffed animals, and so have a ton of stuffed animals. Sometimes we'll figure out how to work those into an object lesson or like arrange things or like let's pretend these are this and use them as models for things. And we don't very often sit at a desk or table. Maybe I will. I'm probably going to be at the table more often than them, but they're often laying around the floor or moving around or it does not look
Nice.
like a classroom.
Yes, getting comfortable. They
Yes.
get comfortable. Yes. Love it. So, okay, with your oldest, what has been her reflection of homeschooling now that she's in college?
She loved that we did it. It was a really good fit for her. She felt great about it, and she thinks that she'll probably homeschool her kids someday. And I told her, well, I'll help you start a group if that's what you want to do. And some of her best friends are from our homeschool group, which is really nice. Um,
Nice.
Yeah, she feels really good about it. She has ADHD and didn't we didn't discover it till she got into college, which is really common with girls. Because especially when you homeschool, it's so friendly to those different neurodivergent ways of thinking and behaving that you don't notice it as a problem until you sit a child in. Because even our co-op classes, we're not sitting still listening to lectures. They're very active and physical and moving around and changing topics. But college is not like that. You
No.
sit in lectures and you do homework. And the sitting in lectures part is really hard for her. And she didn't discover that
Mm.
until she got into college. And so she's still working through strategies on that. So yes, she's very glad that she was homeschooled because she realizes that the traditional classroom model would have been really, really tough for her.
Yes, I talk about that with my 11-year-old. She is not a sit down person at
Yeah.
all. Even when we're playing board games, she's standing up most of the time. It's pretty funny to me because I'm always observing her and it's just like, girl, you cannot sit still to save your life. And it's fine. Like, that's fine. But yeah, full of energy, a lot of energy. Not a bad thing.
Yeah.
Not a bad thing at all. So
Definitely.
but I can imagine the shift into sitting in a college setting with the either the 50 minutes or the hour 15 class
Yeah.
depending on what you sign up for. So I'm always curious as to that transition because I've talked to unschoolers that have transitioned and they'd be like, oh yeah, I still excel, doing good. But I've been on Reddit lately. Jennifer, have you ever gone on Reddit and looked at
Not
some of
very
the
much. It
homeschool
seems
conversations?
I haven't. Yeah, it's
They're concerning. I'm like, oh my gosh, I want to talk to some of the kids who have had because it's I guess young adults talking about their past homeschooling experience, and it's not positive. And I'm like, gosh, I don't meet y'all. I meet all everyone. Like, was this years ago, or you're wondering I'm wondering first of all what went wrong, like
yeah.
why
What's
why
happening
was
at
it
your house?
yeah. Yes, what was happening? And then I wonder if it was something that they were on board for at the beginning, if it was even pre-discussed with them. Because most of
Right.
the times when I talk to parents, of course there's ones who children have never been in public school, but then there are also the ones that say, well, if they wanted to go, by all means, I'll let them go and try it out if
Right.
that's something they be into, whatever.
Yeah.
But for the most part, a lot of when I talk to parents who are transitioning their kids from middle or high school into homeschooling full time, it's been good conversations. Like they say, yeah,
Yeah.
they're with it or they've come to them with it. Like I've had a lot of parents tell me like their child's been like, can I be homeschooled? And they're trying to figure out how to make it work for them. But I don't necessarily talk to the ones that are like, oh yeah, no, my child was like, no, they hated it. They didn't want to do it. Like I haven't had those conversations. So when I see the Reddit conversations, the threads, I'm like, talk to me. Let me know what happened. Like, why was it so bad for you? Like, why do you feel? I don't know.
Yeah, my 16-year-old daughter is does fantasize about public school. It to
Okay.
her sounds like she's never been, and it sounds like this magical place that she's missing out on. She's very social. And so this year actually she just has started this semester a class at the high school, just one
Aw.
a day, so that she can get some of that experience. And I mean, I
See,
think
Jennifer, like this, look, you just said it though, again. Like, oh, well, she fantasized about it. So of course, like let's let her try it
yeah, we
out.
got to
So
let them try things out, and I think that's yeah, list talking to your kids, listening to them. Just because I have a vision for what I want for my kids doesn't mean that. I mean, they are individual human beings with their own. I'm not. Who am I to just tell them this is how it's going to be? Especially as they become those older teenagers, and I want our relationship to be good,
right.
and that's more important to me than where her body is for school. So if she decides that she really likes this and next year she wants to go full time to public school, I would allow that. And I still have the same kind of home. I'm still going to be fostering a love of learning. I really think it matters more what's going on in your home than
Yes.
where their body is for a few hours every day.
Yes, that's all. You should check out some of those Reddit threads. I promise you, I'm just like, oh my gosh, like it's
Yeah,
because I don't talk to those homeschoolers. Like, I don't. That's not
right.
the.
Those are the
Like,
people you're running into.
yeah, that's what they're not who I'm running into. And I'm just like, oh my, I want to know more. Like, because I want to feel like you're out here delivering a message that isn't. And I tell people that homeschooling is not well, full-time homeschooling is not for everyone. I feel like homeschooling is something everyone should be doing in general, as far as even if your children are in traditional school,
Right.
charter, private, wherever they're at, you should still be homeschooling. You should still be
Amen.
supplementing. You should still be fostering that love of learning. By
Hmm.
all means, that's still your responsibility. However, full-time homeschooling is not for everyone.
Amen. Yes.
I would never say it is. I will never say it is. It takes a lot of, as an adult, it takes a lot of reflection on you, a lot of growth in you, a lot of healing in some regards with you. What does your self-care look like?
So this sounds maybe silly, but it really is so fun for me. Like every couple weeks, I go get my nails done with the best friend, and we get to talk for, 2 hours, and that's so great for my soul. And I try to get to bed early every night so that I get enough sleep. Sleep is huge, and eat in a way that fuels my body well, and trying to think what else I do. But yeah, like make some time for myself and have boundaries around things, and pay attention to those signs when if I'm starting to get snappy or not my best self, well then that's an indication that I need to take care of myself so that I want to bring my best self to my family every day. And so maybe I need a
Yes.
little break or time to go by myself, or like working on my business is really important to me and my family is supportive of that. And so I just set aside times where that's what I'm doing.
Nice. I love that. Yes, because that's like I said, the reflecting on, okay, what is it that I need to make sure this is enjoyable for all of us? Because
Right.
we don't want it to be dreadful. By all means, you don't want it to be dreadful. How did you get over those hurdles, I would say, like, because you've been doing it for a long time. A long time. So when you were met with, the days where it's like, all right, should I keep doing this? Or did you even have those days? Did
I
you?
was always pretty confident about it, which I know is unusual. It's just kind of my personality and nature. I was so convinced that this was the right thing for my
Nice.
family that I, like, whenever I was faced with a challenge, it was like, okay, well, how am I going to get around this one? And and my go-to sort of panic response is, there's got to be a book about this, and reading another book. And now I podcast. There's got to be a podcast that can help me with this, and just consuming as much information as I can and getting new ideas to get around the thing. And I would also say there are periods of life, and this is where homeschool is so flexible and good for this, where the main lesson is not something academic, but it's what's happening in the family right now. Like there's a really great article floating around on the internet somewhere called "The Baby is the Lesson." I don't know if you've heard of it, but like when you have a new baby, that is the homeschool lesson for a little while. Like,
Yeah.
mom's got to be focused on feeding that baby and keeping that baby alive. And that means there's not a lot of sleep and there's not a lot of mental energy for anything else. And there's things you can do, like let your kids listen to audiobooks if they listen to audiobooks all day for a period, that is not going to be bad for anyone. Um, and I like in my family's history, my twins were born at 25 weeks, and they were we've adopted all of our kids, but they were born in another state, and it was a crazy scenario. My oldest was 5 at the time. We had to go to another state and stay there for a few months. It was like homeschooling was looking a little different at that point. Like
Yes.
my daughter was mostly reading books, or me reading, somebody reading to her. She was 5, so she could read a little bit, but mostly other people reading to her. And we were focused on getting our twins healthy and safe and home. And then when they were 10 months old, I had to have brain surgery, which was insane. And
Oh,
I was in the
wow.
hospital for 5 weeks. Thankfully, it's nothing that will ever come back. It was just a weird thing. And they took it out of my head, and that's fine. But like I had to learn how to walk again, and I
Oh,
couldn't drive for a
wow.
while, and I slept like 20 hours a day in the beginning, and it was crazy. So we had some years there where we weren't doing a lot of academics, and the lessons were really just like family and taking care of first things first, and we got to take care of our bodies before we can really take care of our minds. And um and it didn't harm anybody. It helps
Yeah.
make better human beings, in my opinion. So if somebody's going through a
Yeah.
season like that, that's what maybe, what are the lessons of this season, and thinking about that I think is helpful. And then
I
the
love
when you
that.
have the
Yeah.
doubts about homeschooling, because that's what there we were started, right? That's really, really common. Most moms have that. And I mean, even I don't ever haven't doubted homeschool, but I definitely doubt frequently, am I totally screwing my kids up? Like, am I failing at this? Because we care so much. And
Mhm.
I've learned to try and ignore the fear and listen to the what's real in there. What's the thing I need to pay attention? Is there it often comes down to a relationship issue with me and a child, or some core value that I'm that's getting overlooked or not addressed. There's something behind that fear that is real, and that's what we need to pay attention to. But the catastrophizing that our minds do, we can ignore that. That's just our minds going crazy, and that's not, they're not right.
Indeed. No, I love that. Yes, I love that. Thank you so much for sharing that. The trials and tribulations that you have definitely faced and made it through and still have college balanced child and still have children who are learning and thriving and growing into their best selves despite the obstacles that you all had to overcome and maybe pause on your daily schedule or whatever it may have looked like prior to those obstacles
Yeah.
and keeping going forward. So that's awesome because it happened. Life be life, and especially now, girl,
Yes.
like it's real out
Right?
here. It's
Uh,
really real.
it gets their
So
things.
yes, yes. And that's what people have to hear and understand. Like it's not gonna always look like you want it to or have envisioned it to look like.
Right.
There's going to be things that happen and occur. Keep going.
Yeah.
Yes. Keep going. Just keep going forward. I really appreciate you, Jennifer.
Welcome. Thank you. I appreciate you.
Of course. So parents can reach out to you for curriculum resources. They can reach out to you for coaching or consulting as
Yeah.
far as, hey, how do I do this? What does this need
Yes.
to look like? Help me build this. Like,
Yes.
help
All
me
of
figure
those
this
things.
out. Yes. Where do we find you?
Okay. So I think my email is tntcurriculum@gmail.com. And I think I sent you a link, I think, to where my curriculum is being sold.
Yes.
And I don't have like a website and stuff yet. I will eventually, but we're not there yet.
No
So
worries.
probably just my email and that where my curriculum is being sold.
Okay,
But I
we
would
will
love to
definitely,
help people and help them.
yes, we will definitely have parents be able to, reach out to you in regards. We will have those links in the description. I just always like to ask about them. But before I let you go, I would like three things that you want parents to take away from this. If you didn't hear anything else, hear this.
Okay, well, I would say the most important thing I think with everything family is relationship. So put that first with your spouse, with your children. Relationship is more important than what anybody's learning or where their body is. It's relationship, relationship, relationship. And then secondly, trust your mama gut instinct. It is correct. If you feel really good about something or you feel really terrible about something, there listen to that. Again, not listening to the fear and catastrophizing that our brains do, but that like gut instinct that there's something here, listen to that. And then secondly, develop your own love of learning. If you want your kids to love learning, you got to model that for them. So what are you interested in? What do you want to know more about? What can you engage in? And then bring your kids along with you, and you guys will have a great time.
That's beautiful. And I did have one more question.
Yeah.
So we got the husband aboard, because that was your first like little opposition that you had to face. Have over the course of because this you're a first generation
Yeah,
homeschooler,
I
right?
went to public school. Yeah.
Okay. So how was the outside family? Because that's always the thing.
Oh
Like the
yeah. I
whole
mean,
the parents aren't into it, or the grandparents, like they're like,
yeah.
like you still doing that? Like,
Yes.
how
There
was
were
that?
definitely a lot of questions.
Okay.
Um, And I'm a fairly bold personality, so I think most of them didn't really feel like they wanted to try and challenge me on anything because they knew that I
They didn't want
wasn't
to hear.
going to be swayed. And I know that's unique, but like I often tell people, just don't tell most people what you're doing until you feel confident about it. Just do your
Okay.
thing, keep it to yourself, because and understand that those people are not doubting you and your ability. They care very much about you and your children and they want everything good for you guys and they are afraid for you. They are afraid that maybe the choice you're making is going to lead to bad things for people they love. And so just don't involve them until you feel really confident about it. And there's more of those questions in the early years, but once your kids start getting rolling and people start to see, oh yeah, that is working. Okay, we don't need to question it anymore.
Okay, cool. Thank you so much for that. Yes, that outside noise be noising, and people is
Right?
like, "Oh my gosh, my mom is like, why does I tell people like I have several degrees, and my mom still be like, are you still
Oh, that's
there?
funny.
Like, are you still doing that?
I mean, you're a
Look, I was
professional
a whole
educator.
teacher. Look, I was a whole right, whole classroom. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, you still doing that? Okay, but yeah, so understand that, hey, you don't have to have it all figured out first thing first. You do not have to have it all figured out. Stand on your why, understand why you're doing it, and stand on it. That's your, your boost, that's your get me going and keep me
Yes.
going. Um, if the obstacles come, the trials, tribulations, keep going. Keep
Yeah.
going, trust the process, and understand you will get through it just like you got through everything else. I
Amen.
always tell people, people recap their life and be like, oh, this has happened, all this stuff. And I'm like, oh my gosh, great heavens.
Yeah.
But you got through all of it though.
Right.
Like, you're talking to me right now, like this is in the past. So
Yeah.
you know that you can get through it just as you've gotten through everything else, and know that the support and help is out there. So if you're looking to start a co-op, if you're looking to start, start your own organization, um, reach out
Yeah.
for help, assistance. Because if it's not in your area, you do not have the group that you need, build it,
Yes.
build it.
And it can be really simple. It does not, I think it sounds way more overwhelming than it really is. It can be really
Yes.
simple.
Yes, yes. And Jennifer said that she will take her her over decade of doing it and minimize some things for you so
Yeah.
you won't have to go through all the stuff she had to go
Yeah.
through.
You don't have to learn the hard way.
Yes. Learn from her. Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, so understand that the support is there. It's not a journey you have to take alone, but always remember, always, always, always homeschool your kids.
Amen.